We were in a fortunate position to have some funding from the Welsh Government to look at collating some stories from young people and their families and also practitioners who may be working with those young people to get a sense of what's important to them now and in the future, but also look at what's been working very well for them and maybe things that maybe haven't worked so well that people need to be thinking about and working on and working towards making them work well for those young people.
We support young people from the age of 15 to 25 who have a disability. We work closely with their families. Our team consists of myself as team manager. We also have a provider manager, a senior practitioner, 4 key workers, 3 qualified social workers, 1 transition coordinator, 1 transition support officer, and we're also supported by transition admin.
Transition into adulthood can be an exciting time and a challenging time for most young people and their parents, with lots of changes and choices to be made about the future.
There are a number of aspects that make a good key worker. Some of the most important that I think are good communication. That's vital between the young person, family, carers, professionals. That takes us on to partnership working, so working with other agencies to ensure that the best outcome is achieved for the young person. Being able to help to coordinate that transition planning using a person-centred approach, I believe are all important aspects to successful key working.
Just having everything sort of really detailed from the minute both young people get up in the morning, what they need, whether they need 2-to-1 support, 1-to-1 support throughout a whole day, which activities they would like to do, sleeping plans, all the help we've had from the occupational therapists and physiotherapists to make a really good plan around transition.
I think parents having the opportunity to express their thoughts or their concerns and to be heard is really important. It adds a certain value to the work that goes on in addition to the work or the role of a teacher or a tutor, and it's quite an important role. And as the time has gone on, I really feel quite strongly about the importance of maintaining that type of key worker or support worker.
We had a person working in the authority that was funded externally, Karen James. She contacted me originally and asked would I go along to person-centred training, and I knew nothing about it. At the end of the second day, although I didn't feel that the training was everything that we could adopt in school, I did feel that we wanted to look at it. Came back to school, we introduced it with our current year 9s at the time. We had an external funding process which allowed us to have a person that would help us out in that year. But we also understood that after that year that fund would go, so we had to adopt a new system in the future.
The focus of what we do in our class is really prepare people for leaving school. Most of them have been in school since they were 3 years old, and actually leaving is a really big deal. So we spend 3 years preparing them for whatever they might like to do. The first thing that we have to do is to find out what they would like to do, and we do a lot of work around what they're good at, what their favourite things are, and what their dreams and their hopes are.
Our aim is to make transition as successful as possible for the students, and so we aim for them all to experience some kind of bridging period where they go from school to college, a minimum of 1 day a week. That could be accessing mainstream courses. We do link courses with Llandrillo College in small animal care, motor vehicle, construction, hair and beauty, hospitality and catering.
I gather the data of all the people that we have enrolled, and then use action plans from the reviews to check the pupils are on track or what they are meant to be doing or where they want to be going. So I contact their parents, I speak to them, I interview them, I gather data, and like Chris said, it's changed from before where we primarily looked at education. Now we look at them as a whole. So we gather data about their social life, about their family life, which obviously makes a difference to their school life.
To be honest, we're very disorganised, and I had no idea how things were going to work going on to university. Now I've got a key worker. I know I've got somebody to go to sort out any issues.
Chelsea was referred to us from the children's team. Initially, she was socially excluded. She lived quite rural, and my role was to get involved with Chelsea and support her into the community. However, on meeting Chelsea and spending time with Chelsea and her family, it became clear that there was more to it than just being isolated. She had dreams and aspirations of going to uni and just wanting to claim as much independence as possible. I've had to liaise with Chelsea and the Careers Wales and the teachers at Connaskey High School and her parents. I've also been to see the disability officer at the chosen university and looked at the accommodation to see how suitable it is and see if there's any other support there for her. She had a clear view on what she wanted from a support worker, and I wasn't it. She wanted someone age appropriate who could fit in, go shopping and just look like a friend. So we applied for what's called direct payment, which was so many hours per week to support Chelsea with an age-appropriate person in the community. At the minute, there's an occupational therapy referral gone in for Chelsea to update her moving and positioning plan. And then we need to look into budgets for Chelsea. We've spoken about different types of packages of support for her, which would be, which she find easier to manage and which will be more suitable for her. Chelsea also wanted to be able to use public transport. However, there were issues with Chelsea with a wheelchair and her dexterity in being able to use public transport and manoeuvre in her chair. So my role was to contact the bus service and arrange for a bus to be put to one side and for Chelsea to have as much time as possible to be able to get on and off of the bus and manoeuvre around the bus without anyone from the public being there to watch. She needs 24-hour support to to basically get up in the morning, to get about. She needs somebody to scribe for her. A whole range of self-care issues that she needs resolving.
I want to go on to study child psychology and then hopefully secure a job somewhere.
I think the major thing is to find out, to put as much time as possible into the preliminary work and really make sure that the students have a really good idea of their own strengths and weaknesses, that they know a lot about themselves, so they can and also the next most important thing is their experience, for them to have visited and have as much information and know as much about the opportunities that are available for them, so they can make a reasoned decision. Don't you? And that's a college where you sleep over. It's a residential college. But what you told me was, there we are, we've got it here. I want to go to college and I want to sleep in college. And where did you want to live?
Flat.
You want to live in a flat as well. Where? In London. Oh.
As a whole, we think the students get a lot of confidence spending all that time out of school, which prepares them well to leave.
We do canoeing, kayaking, gorge walking, what else do we do? Climbing, and we have to wear waterproofs and everything. We have to wear walking boots and everything, get everything ready.
Tell me about your visit with Mum to the college.
Yeah. Drink. Drink.
It was big.
Yeah.
What else was there?
Yeah. Bedroom.
Bedrooms. Nice bedrooms.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nice canteen.
Nice canteen.
Careers Wales are excellent. We're lucky that we've got a very proactive Careers Wales advisor who really facilitates all the links and college visits and keeps parents and social workers and everyone talking. So that's very important. Making sure we involve the young people themselves and really make sure they talk about it quite a lot with us and with all the different people, so it's their views are expressed and they really know what's going on and they're in the picture. That's also very important. And then practicing what they're going to do. So some of them, you know, they're going to leave home, they're going to go and live in these flats, but we try not to make it all happen in the same year. So the young people who are going to go into independent living, we get them to do that while they're still in the school environment, so there's not too much change going on.
I guess I'd like to say how important it is to listen to them as well. Yeah, and although, you know, we make it very clear that they can't always have what they want, because not everybody can. You can't always just choose and it comes. That it's really vital that everybody who's working with them really listens to what their opinions and their needs and their wants.
It's communication with the young person and the family, and it's about doing what you say you're going to do. You know, if you say you're going to call somebody back, then, you know, you must make sure that you call that person back. You're honest when you're asked. You know, you never make promises. I don't know if Chelsea can get the funding to go to university, but, you know, we can certainly say we will work towards that. You know, they're her dreams, and we hope that she can achieve them, and we'll do our best to work towards it. But, you know, we wouldn't say, oh yes, 100% she is going to get that. We just support her the best we can.
My role involves looking at a range of courses for learners with identified learning disabilities and those youngsters with additional needs who perhaps need support for their first year of college before moving on to mainstream courses. My role takes me outside of college to work with youngsters when they're in their annual reviews in school. Recently been working very closely with local schools such as Ysgol Maes y Coed, Ysgol Hendra and Sandfields Comprehensive School as part of their person-centred review planning, enabling us at college to find out much more about a youngster before they make their transition.
Yeah, we've been very lucky because we've had very good relationships with Avon College. So for a number of years we've brought down a group of school leavers aged between 16 and 19. Every morning they've come down for a session in Avon College, which is, and fair play, Avon have provided a lecturer as well, which is really nice. And then we've basically just taken part in lessons, in sessions, we've mixed in with other students. We've got to use the canteen, the facilities around the college, all the different rooms, the cookery room, the art room, the computer room, the library. So basically we've been getting the students used to the college a long time before they actually get here.
Transition for any young person leaving school for however long they've been there is a big step. So the new annual review process is looking at the whole of the youngster, not just their educational needs, but looking at them socially, looking at them emotionally, what they are going to go on to, what we need to know in order to support them most effectively. And what we're finding through the new person-centred review planning that we're doing is that we're putting in more opportunities for learners to spend time here. So it's not just a quick change between June, when you finish school, and coming in September to college. It's far more transition planning. Individual learners are joining some groups, say specific learner wants to do health and social care, so they're going into a health and social care lesson perhaps with a school support member of staff on their own. Others might come in as a group and we're going to do a whole group activity around cooking, or we might be doing a whole group activity around environment. So they're just getting used to the new environment, getting to see familiar faces, who they will then be spending time with come September.
Well, lots of our students come with lots of additional needs, and it is very handy to know what their additional needs are before they actually come to us. So we can actually plan their education and the support needs that they actually need. It's nice to get to know them sort of from a personal point of view as well, and looking at how we can best help them to move forward.
I felt very nervous, and I think going on visits to the college and catching buses helped a lot, and getting to know all the staff here and finding my way around.
I first met Rachel Burke at Sandfields Comprehensive School during her annual review. I was also aware of a mum. I'd met mum before. Mum had been on a course as a part-time learner within the school. So Rachel came to the annual review with mum and also with Nan, who was her main carer. It was a review that identified there was going to need to be a lot of support in between the liaison between home and the college environment. Nan being the person that we needed to care about most, but at the same time we also knew that Nan had her needs, and there was some things that we were going to have to be aware of around Rachel and how when people around her were getting older, that we knew would actually have an impact on her being in college. Hence we looked at the Gateway into Health and Social Care course. Rachel could have gone straight into a mainstream level 1 in health and social care, but that would have put a lot more pressure on her. So we looked at the Gateway course, which would have allowed her to have a nice easy step of transitioning, being with people that she knew from school, getting to know the staff, not having such a big group, and that smaller step, that manageable step, so that when she actually made the progression onto level 1, she was well familiar with the environment, well familiar with people, and could do that with far more confidence.
On Mondays, I used to come to college on a bus with my friends from school. Had dinner in the canteen.
Leanna had the Real Opportunities team from the school involved, so Yvonne Richards was working with Leanna's family outside of school, and of course Leanna was coming down to college every Monday morning and just building her independence in the college. So basically, by the time Leanna came to college, she was just up and running. And you can see her now later in the canteen, and she's just fitted in so well, you know. But the person-centred plan basically looks at every aspect of Leanna's life, her likes, her personalities, what she wants to do, what work experience she wants to do, what interests she's got outside of school as well, and it all comes together into a person-centred plan. And then the idea is that follows her into college. So Leanna loved hairdressing. Back in school, she used to dye some of the member of staff's hair, and she would style some of the other students, and she was really, really good at it. And of course, down in college now, she can access the hair and beauty salon, which she absolutely loves. So it's followed through, and you're making sure that the students actually get what they want to do, what they need, because a lot of our students don't get those choices. So she's very, very lucky, I think.
I was very excited coming to Avon College, a bit nervous, but I was okay. When I was in school, we had an annual review presentation, and I talked in front of people because I was confident.
Dina is a new student who came to us this year. She came with a one-page profile. That meant we already had lots of information about how to support her, what she needed, what she required, what her preferences were. what she disliked, what she liked. So when we were putting things together in terms of planning, it was easier for us. Dina came in and visited us a couple of times and she sampled some of the classes, so she already knew about all the tutors and who they were, because it's a very nerve-wracking experience for all of them.
We encourage students to disclose any type of disability at any stage. So this could be from an open day, or when they apply to go on a course, or even after the start of their course. So we often get students disclosing many disabilities in the first and second year of their studies. Students who are able to apply for this can apply through their funding bodies. Disabled Student Allowance is up to £5,000 worth of equipment, so it might be a computer, it might be specialist software or orthopaedic chairs or height adjustable desks, whatever it is that they need to help enable them to study on a level playing field.
My wife decided that I should go to university, and we started the ball rolling to come to university. I never went back to my job. And then I started in university, where I got a learning support assistant, and my problems were still the same. I couldn't walk into a classroom, I couldn't raise my hand if I had any queries, I couldn't form relationships with the other students. I started to see myself being isolated again, but this time I had a fantastic support network with me. I had a learning support assistant who spoke for me, helped me, and coming to university restored my faith in education again.
The range of disabilities is any type of disability. It can be a physical or a visual or hearing impairment. It might be an unseen disability like epilepsy. We can support students with ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, Asperger's syndrome, autism. Anything that is going to have an impact on somebody's ability to study, we can provide support for. That includes mental health issues, depression, bipolar, anything that has an impact. So we have around 40 learning support assistants supporting students on a daily basis. So this might be attending lectures with somebody, taking notes, making sure they're organised, making sure they've got a safe place to go if they have an anxiety attack or anything like that. So it's basic day-to-day support. The dyslexia tutors will provide support on a one-to-one basis for any students, and they can meet 1 hour a week, and the same with the mental health mentor. It could be 1 or 2 hours a week.
Don't give up, things will get better, and when you're at the lowest of the low, then you realise things can get better. But it's very hard for me to give advice to people who feel the same. I feel that I could give advice to the people who should have understood or didn't understand, and I can give advice for the carers and the parents of what to expect for their children and what they're going to deal with when they leave school. And I really would advise that they keep in education and they do not leave education, because it's a wonderful place. Having gone into the workplace from leaving school, it was horrific.
I meet a lot of students who are quite apprehensive about coming to university and, oh my goodness, how am I going to manage? And then they settle in, and the support we provide doesn't actually make them depend on us. We try to make students as independent as possible, so that when they actually go out into the big wide world, they've developed these strategies and skills to be able to live independently and work independently. And so that's one of the strengths that we think Lindore offers as well, is for students to be able to develop their own abilities to the best possible outcome.
If I could have had the support in school and college, I could have stayed in education and learned that the world isn't such a horrible place.
Oh, and I don't know where they go when they vanish in the cold.
I've been a social worker for 16 years now, and I've worked in various departments in Flintshire, but I've been with physical disabilities since 2010. Then I moved over to the transition team when it was developed and began last year.
Letting go. history could never really grow.
Well, I've worked with Jamie for 3 years now because I was initially his social worker when I came here with the physical disabilities team. Then I've moved over with him to the transition team, so I've known him and his family quite a long time. Amy, I just became her social worker last year, so I've not been with her as long. But I've got to know them both very well through the transition process.
What's important to Amy is that Amy's in her own world, and it's important that people enter into her world, and she's clean, she's well cared for, and all her various and multiple needs are taken care of in an empathetic way.
Well, there's always issues around funding, because funding is one of these things we hope the funding's going to be available, and we just have to have these anxieties sort of put at the back of our minds, and when we get the funding we just got to say that's great, let's go straight ahead with it. But it does sort of delay things because there are worries thinking, well, we have enough money for the support work. We had to get sort of a lot of different people to put their proposals across to find out which agency we were going to go for in the tendering process. So the young people's families were involved with this.
It was a very traumatic experience for all of us when she moved in, but the trial of it really was when the first time she came home. It was as if she'd never been away. She was exactly like she was when she'd left home, and she was fine, and she's so well looked after. I can just tell her appearance, she always looks immaculate, which she was when she was at home, and she looks really happy.
Around the house itself, there are also issues because even though we had everyone involved, the occupational therapists, everyone put in adaptations to the house to make it, as we thought, perfect, but in the first few weeks there were a few teething troubles, and with Jamie, he's still got a bit of an issue with the toilet, and we have to get some additional equipment for that. And it was just doing a lot of little tweaks really, just to make sure that the house was adequate for the needs, and that's a bit of an ongoing process. But with everyone involved and keeping everyone in the loop, we managed to get everything done.
Well, Andrew and I, that's my husband and I, we were very clear of what we wanted to happen with Amy when she left school. Ideally, it would have been great for her to come home, but it would have been Amy and I on our own, and I couldn't possibly have given her all the things that she was getting at school. So many years ago we identified that we'd like Amy to go into supported living.
I think it's been really good to see how happy both young people are, and they're really enjoying their time in the house. And the families have gone from being really anxious and nervous to being quite happy now. And it's seeing that confidence really in the young people. They just seem to enjoy it. Jamie seems really at home in his house, and Amy seems happy and laughs, and the families, they don't have to be there all the time now. At first they were there all the time, but now they don't have to come round every single day, and they know that their young people are secure and they're happy and they're enjoying their life.
I think it's best to actually identify what you want for your young person from an early stage, because the transition period is a very long process. There is so much to be taken into account from start to finish that, you know, people can't jump through hoops. And like with this property here, it's a beautiful bungalow, but with all the adaptations, it took a long time to get all the professionals in to actually identify Amy's needs, then put forward for the proposals for the funding, and then getting the builders in to do the work. And there were so many people involved that I think as parents you can't just sit back and let it happen, because it's crucial that the young person's views and the parents' views are taken into account.
Set your goals, your targets, and work towards them. Check what the young person wants. Make sure that it's okay with them, let them lead the way.
Listen to the teachers in school, do well, and come to the induction week. It really does help build your confidence.
Don't give up, things will get better, and when when you're at the lowest of the low, then you realise things can get better.
You've got to know what your young person wants, what you'd like them to have. And I think it's important that the parents' wishes are taken into account as well.
I believe people with disabilities should have the same opportunities as everybody else, and transition help me try and achieve that.
I'm a slave without a master, heading for disaster, kicking up the dust in the middle of the road. I've been waiting on a free ride, ticket to a seaside thicket on the edge of Puget Sound. And there I'll sit, and I'll admit that I was only just a guest inside my skin. And by the dawn I'll be gone and won't be holding on to anything again. I'm letting